On March 3rd, 2026, a 16-year-old in Ohio typed 3 sentences into an app that promised to keep him safe. The app did what it was supposed to do. It flagged him as high risk and triggered an alert. But then, the alert sat in a queue for 19 hours, and by the time a counselor saw it, the student had already been hospitalized. This student's name is Caleb, and he survived. The question we're here to answer is not how you spin this for the press, but rather what a tech company owes its users when those users are teenagers in crisis. My name is Shaan Duggal, and here is my recommendation for Zenlyr. This is not only a PR problem. There were 4 failures that compounded into one crisis, and we need to be more precise about each failure. The first failure was the engineering culture. The delay that affected Caleb came from a known bug that the engineering team had identified 6 weeks earlier. They logged it, but then they moved on to other features. This is a culture problem, not a coding one. Secondly, the clinical foundation. Zenlyr's AI was trained on adult mental health data, even though the entire product is built for teenagers. You cannot serve this population with a model fine-tuned on 35-year-olds. Third is the lack of governance. An advisory board is not the same thing as a licensed clinician on staff. When you are identifying suicide risk, you need accountability from a licensed practitioner. And fourth, the business model itself. Schools pay for signal, and that is their only revenue line. So when the safety feature fails, the entire business fails with it. Here is the deeper problem. Zenlyr was selling something that looked like consumer software, but it functioned like a medical device. They priced it like SaaS. They shipped it like SaaS. They ran the engineering culture of a SaaS company. But the product was always more dangerous than that classification suggested. The CDC's 2023 Youth Risk Behavior Survey found that 39.7% of high school students experience persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness, and 20.4% seriously considered attempting suicide. The board has 3 options, and none of them alone are enough. Option A is the safety pivot. It gets the values right, but it sends more than half the company's cash while pausing signal for 90 days. Option B is fundamentally a market answer to a clinical problem. Publishing an incident report and going on a media tour does not fix adult-trained AI. It does not put a licensed clinician in the building. Option C is acquisition. It solves the resourcing problem, but it means selling a mission-driven company at its worst possible valuation, and giving up founders' ability to shape what happens next. My recommendation is a hybrid approach. I call it the clinical grade pivot. 5 steps, all of them executed in parallel over 90 days. Step 1 is to stabilize. Maya goes on camera within 24 hours. This is not a press statement, but a specific, factual account of what happened and what the company knew and what they're doing about it right now. Engineering drops everything else and fixes the bug alert this week. At the same time, Zenlyr contracts 5 licensed clinical social workers to begin human review of all high-risk bridge chat conversations. This costs approximately $15,000 a month, which is manageable. Step 2 is the human safety layer. Those 5 clinicians become the live review layer for every flag conversation. When a student crosses a crisis threshold, a licensed person is in the loop, reading the conversation and making a judgment call. For acute situations, the escalation path runs through the clinicians to the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline with a warm handoff. Step 3 builds our clinical infrastructure. We hire a chief clinical officer with adolescent psychiatry credentials, budgeted at $200,000 annually. Then partner with the American Psychological Association to develop a real clinical governance framework with an actual sign-off authority on AI responses. Within 14 days, we will hire a FDA-experienced regulatory counsel and file a pre-submission with the agency voluntarily. Step 4 will rebuild Signal. The engineering team retrains the AI on teen-specific mental health datasets. This is a 60 to 90-day project that starts immediately once the bug is fixed. Signal relaunches with a guaranteed 15-minute alert SLA, backed with teeth. If an alert misses the window, the school monthly fee for that student is automatically refunded. Step 5 is our financial bridge. The modified plan costs roughly $2.1 million over 12 months on top of current burn. First, apply immediately to the SAMHSA Mental Health Technology Transfer Center, which grants up to $2 million. Second, we will negotiate with the lead investor, offer a board seat and clinical advisory role in exchange for a $1 million bridge on a convertible note. And we will cut burn by 30% by pausing non-clinical hiring and the founders taking a pay cut. Here is how the numbers all work out. Right now, we have $4.1 million in cash and 7 months of runway. After the cost cuts and clinical hires, burn settles at around $420,000 a month. Later, in the bridge funding and total cash, we land between $6 and $7 million, extending the runway to 14 to 17 months, which is enough time to rebuild and relaunch. Revenue assumptions are conservative. We model 50% district recovery over 12 months, holding the price at $4 per student, because schools that just went through this experience are not going to accept a price increase. That puts Zenlyr at about $4.3 million annually in annual recurring revenue. Month 12, with a thinner margin around 25% because of the clinical operations cost. The company reaches break even at around month 18. To Maya, Jordan, and the lead investor. You have all been told that this is a crisis, and it is. But this is also the decision point that most companies never get. The chance to actually become what you've always claimed to be. You did not fail because you are bad people or bad founders. You failed because you built a medical-grade product on a consumer-grade chassis. And that is fixable, but only if you stop pretending that the chassis was fine. Every decision from this point forward gets evaluated against one question. Does this make a teenager safer? In terms of ethics, when a company builds for vulnerable users, it inherits something close to a fiduciary duty. Not legally, but morally. The teens using Zenlyr trusted your product with their worst memories. There is also a fair question about whether AI should be involved at all in mental health. My honest answer is that AI should not be the primary responder to acute care. AI's appropriate role here is in triage, pattern recognition, and continuity, handing off to humans and not making the call on its own. If this plan succeeds, Zenlyr will become the first AI mental wellness platform with APA clinical governance, a documented record of reforming on its own failures, and proof that a tech company can choose accountability over survival when lives are at stake. I will leave you with one number, 34. 34 times that Zenlyr worked exactly the way it was supposed to. A counselor saw an alert and a teenager got help. That track record does not get erased by one failure, but that does not excuse it either. The 19-hour delay that hospitalized Caleb does not have to be the end of the story. It can be the reason an entire industry gets safer. Fix this bug this week. Put humans in the loop by day 7. Hire the chief clinical officer by day 47, and file with the FDA within 2 weeks. You will build the company you told the world you were building back in 2023. All the sources are listed on screen and are linked in the video description. Thank you.